What's going on YouTube? Austin Zay back here with another YouTube video, and I hope you like my new set, okay? Just redid this, and I'm very excited to make YouTube videos on a daily basis moving forward, talking about the stock market, real estate, and everything of the sorts, okay? How to invest your money, how to save your money, everything like that. So today, we're gonna be talking about how to become a real estate investor in 2020. The only real estate investor that you've ever probably had to deal with, potentially, okay, depending on how new you are, is maybe your landlord. Maybe you've rented an apartment, you've rented a house, and you've dealt with your landlord, right? You've had to pay him every month on the month, and if you didn't pay him, he was knocking on your door like, where is the money? So look, if you can do this properly, if you can get into the world of real estate investing at a young age or really at any age, it can really be amazing. It can be an amazing diversification of your actual income streams. And ultimately, it can just be a phenomenal way to invest. As of July 31st, 2020, the average real estate investor salary in America was $123,937 a year. And I know a lot of people don't want to be a real estate investor because they think they have to be a landlord. They think that ultimately their phone is going to ring at midnight because the toilet is going to be clogged or the roof is going to be leaking or the air conditioning is not going to be working. But there are so many different types of being a real estate investor where you don't even have to speak to the tenant. You can even be a landlord and not ultimately have to speak to the tenant. The real problem that I personally see with real estate is that most people, when they look at the real estate industry, it's too big for them, right? It's too far-fetched. It's too much of a thing of,
I'm never gonna be able to get into that industry. I don't have a ton of money. I don't have good credit. I don't know the right people. I don't have the experience. I don't know anything about the market or all these different things.
And that for me was the reason I never got started in real estate a really long time ago. So we're gonna break down the best ways to invest in real estate, whether you want a low-paying job, a high-paying job, a low-maintenance job, a high-maintenance job, really whatever it is that you want. I'm gonna break it all down for you. Make sure you stay to the end of the video. And I would really appreciate it. If you haven't already, just take a quick moment and go ahead and just smash that like button, as it really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm. So one of my top recommendations to investing into real estate is obviously a REIT, which a REIT stands for a real estate investment trust. And REITs are very self-explanatory. This is a real hands-off type of real estate approach, and I'm not opposed to that, okay? There's a lot of people, a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers, a lot of people in the world that make a really good amount of money, and maybe they don't want to put all of their money into the stock market. They want to diversify a little bit, right? And they want to get into the world of real estate, but they don't have a lot of time on their hands. You see a lot of people like that that'll invest in a good REIT. So you don't physically own any actual real estate, right? You're not able to walk up and knock on your door, okay? You're not managing the real estate. You technically own real estate, okay? But you don't personally, physically own real estate, if that makes any sense at all. So a lot of times these big REITs will own big commercial buildings, big retail spaces, they'll own hotels, they'll own big multi-family buildings as well. And another really great thing about a REIT is they're also a great retirement fund. They typically have a higher paying dividend than what you'll see in a lot of other types of investment accounts. So, maybe you're a little bit older and you're looking into investing into real estate. Look, if you want a little bit more of a hands-off type of approach, maybe a retirement fund type of approach, a REIT can be a very great idea. A lot of times the dividends do pay a lot higher. I actually made a video, you can definitely go check it out. It is a Fundrise video, which is just one of a ton of essentially of REITs, and you should definitely check it out, okay? They do have a little bit higher of a dividend. And sometimes REITs can be a little bit complicated or a little bit frustrating, okay, in terms of, the liquidity of your money and things of that nature, but definitely just do your own due diligence before obviously you invest into anything, right? Know exactly what it is that you're investing in before you actually put your money there. At the end of the day, the complexity of the investment really does typically boil down to the platform that you're using, the fund that you're investing into, really the company overall, the people that are managing it, the people that are running it, the people that started it, and ultimately, kind of just how they felt or how they feel currently, and that typically will be the way that it ends up getting ran. Typically, from my perspective, from my understanding, it is always a good idea to generally stay away from a non-traded REIT. Non-traded REITs tend to be harder to sell, essentially. They tend to just be a little bit more complex, and the liquidity of it is ultimately just not there. As a brand new investor, the best way to probably go about it is to typically stay with the publicly traded REITs. These are pretty much lower risk overall, and they can be sold a lot easier than the other ones. And of course, as you probably guessed, the best way to purchase into a REIT or to buy into a REIT is through a brokerage account, okay? So there's a lot of different brokerage accounts that you can definitely check out, and I've made a lot of other videos, so of course, if you haven't already, just smash the like button, obviously, first and foremost. Make sure you subscribe, watch a couple of my other videos on different brokerage accounts, and you can definitely go ahead and invest into a good REIT. A couple of solid ones just off the top of my head are E-Trade and TD Ameritrade, okay? E-Trade and TD Ameritrade are both fairly good brokerage accounts. Again, I don't get paid to say that. In no way, shape, or form am I affiliated with any of them, so take that with a grain of salt, and maybe in a future video, I'll have a link down below, but for this video, I do not have a link down below. Moving right along, the second best way to kind of invest into real estate, to get into the world of real estate, is a multifamily investment property. Now, you see big guys like Grant Cardone talking about multifamily investing, and there's this big stigma with multifamily investing. I just want to just break it down just real quick. One of my personal favorite things that you can do is you can buy a duplex to a quadplex, and you can actually live in one of the units while you rent the other ones out. And I personally think this is a great, great, great way to get into the world of real estate investing, get your feet wet. Ultimately, let's call it house hack, okay? And house hacking seems to be really, really big right now. Get your rent paid for in full every single month by your tenant, and you essentially get the benefit of the appreciating real estate over the long haul. You also get to depreciate it on your taxes. You get to have a bunch of write-offs. There are so many benefits of actually owning real estate. And this is obviously great if you have a smaller family, maybe you're a little bit younger, maybe you're a little bit more nimble, and you can kind of move around and do different things. Obviously, if you have a big family, you're well established, then you probably don't want to live in a small little duplex or a triplex, okay? So depending on your situation and your age, this can either be a really great idea or a not so great idea. And of course, you can always rent out the entire property, but why not have your living paid for? At the end of the day, I mean, when I think about it, I'm like, man, I would way rather have my living paid for rather than just rent out the entire property. Again, it does depend on what stage of life that you're currently in. And another phenomenal option is you can buy an apartment complex, you can buy a duplex, a triplex, or a quadplex, and you can rent out the other units or the other rooms if you end up just buying a house instead on Airbnb. Now, again, you're gonna wanna confirm with the HOA, and you're gonna wanna make sure that you can actually Airbnb. In other words, you can have like a short-term rental. You definitely wanna confirm that, but assuming you can, that is another phenomenal way. A lot of times you can end up making more money month on the month rather than essentially just renting them out on a year-by-year basis. I've actually recently started looking into multifamily investing, and right now, currently, I'm about to buy my first couple of properties, and I'm super, super, super excited for the multifamily side of it. I've done a lot of the single family, I've done a lot of fix and flips, I've owned a lot of rental properties as it pertains to single family, but I've never done the multifamily. So I'll definitely let you know how it goes, but I'm personally very, very excited. A ton of younger people are definitely looking at this potential route when it comes to real estate investing. So it's definitely a lot lower of a risk. You can get a property near a college or something like that where there's a ton of renters, there's a ton of people that'll ultimately be a tenant for you. And at the end of the day, I just think it's a great way to getting started in real estate. Even in crazy, crazy times like we're living in right now, people still need a place to live, right? People will sell their home, they'll get foreclosed on, whatever the case is, maybe they lose their job, but people have to live, right? It is the one, essential industry at the end of the day where people live no matter what, okay? So, look, you go buy a nice multifamily in a good area where there's good potential renters, and you will always, for the most part, okay, based on historical data, have a renter for your property. The third way to get started in real estate investing in 2020 is through flipping a house, okay, flipping a property. And I've done a lot of that recently, so I'll definitely show you a little bit, but let's just kind of talk about it. I know there's a lot of people that are really for this investment strategy, and there's some people that are like, totally against it, right? So, look, don't shoot the messenger. Let's go ahead and break it down. So you know what I'm talking about here, right? You've seen Love It or List It, you've seen HGTV, you've seen Flip or Flop, you've seen I don't know, sell or be. Look, there's a million different ones out there, but you've seen the shows where they buy the property below market value, they put a little bit of work into it, and they end up selling it on the open market with a real estate agent, and they make a profit. This is probably the riskier one of the two that we've talked about so far. So of the three total that we've talked about so far, this is definitely a riskier one, but there can be a pretty large reward. If you really take your time and you follow your budget, okay, this can really work out. You can really make a decent amount of money in a very short amount of time. And with the housing market doing what it is doing right now, there has literally never been a better time. I actually bought a condo about a month or so ago. I bought it for $202,000. So we put about $30,000 or so worth of work into it, and we're currently under contract for $300,000. Okay, so we're looking at anywhere from probably like a $40,000 to a $60,000 profit at the end of the day. After obviously we pay the real estate agent, we have a little bit of closing costs and things of that nature. But look, to make I don't know, let's call it like $40,000 or $50,000, and maybe let's call it 45 to 60 days. By the time it is all said and done, that is not bad money. So the main thing here again is you gotta find a good deal. My mentor always told me, and this is true for any industry that you're trying to get in, okay? Whether you're trying to do Amazon FBA, Shopify, look, it doesn't matter, primarily real estate, but really any industry, right? Any industry where you're trying to make a profit through arbitrage, right? The difference between one number and another number, you ultimately end up making your money in the buy, right? You've probably heard that before. You make money in the purchase. And all they're really talking about when they say that is if you don't get a good deal initially, then you're not gonna be able to sell it at the right price, and you're not gonna be able to make an actual profit. So as long as you can get a good deal on a property, then this can truly be an incredible way for you to go ahead and get started in the real estate investing world, and you can make a pretty dang good living doing so. One of my personal tips, I guess, for you, if you want to get started in that particular niche, is to find properties that are below market value, so you definitely get a good deal, but find ones that just need a cosmetic remodel. They don't need a roof, they don't need a foundation, they don't need an air conditioner, or water heater, or anything like that. They just need carpet, it needs paint, and it needs fixtures. There's a lot to take into account as it pertains to kind of the fix and flip world of real estate, and I'm happy to make other videos on it. I've definitely made quite a few so far. If you haven't already, definitely go and check those out, okay? But I would love to make more videos on that. Just remember, location is another big thing you want to definitely take into account. If it is not in a good location, it doesn't matter what kind of discount you're getting on the property, you probably don't want to buy it. My fourth favorite way to get into the world of real estate investing in 2020 is through crowdfunding real estate. Crowdfunding is a phenomenal way to get into the world of real estate without really investing a lot of time, not a lot of hassle, nothing like that. Kind of similar to a REIT, just a little bit different. In 2018, the global crowdfunding market was valued at about 10.2 billion US dollars, and they're expecting that to triple by 2025. It is obviously becoming more and more popular as more and more people are investing into the real estate industry, and that of course will only continue to grow with social media growing and people promoting things like crowdfunding platforms, and really just in general as the real estate industry is even more and more popular, and as of recently even more popular of a way to invest than the stock market. Now, obviously, you don't actually own the property when you're crowdfunding because technically you're just buying in. You're buying into a piece of the property and it's actually somebody else's property, okay? But it is crowdfunded. At the end of the day, you can definitely make a decent amount of money through a couple of the websites that we'll talk about here in just a minute. So in a really simple nutshell, the way that crowdfunding kind of works is, say I'm a real estate investor and I don't have a ton of money, but I do know the world of real estate. I can go out and I can put together some big deal, right? Some big plan, some big development or something like that, but maybe I can't fund it myself. I can actually go and I could start an actual crowdfunding platform, let's just say, in theory, okay? There's probably a few other ways to do it, but in a nutshell, other investors, particularly maybe even accredited investors, can actually invest into my particular project. And in exchange, those investors would gain equity interest in the project or in the actual property. Now, there is one big downfall similar to a REIT is there is a lot of illiquidity, right? Meaning that there's not a ton of liquidity with a lot of your investments. So you invest again into a platform like Fundrise. I guess Fundrise is probably more of crowdfunding than it is a REIT. They are a little bit similar in that regard, but at the end of the day, they're not very liquid investments. And a lot of times, you basically can't get your money out for a long period of time. And if you do try to pull your money out early, you will get penalized. One of the great things about Fundrise in particular is that there is a minimum investment of only $500. You do not have to be an accredited investor. And really, at the end of the day, in my opinion, just about anybody can invest into the platform of Fundrise. They're doing a ton of projects and they have a ton of money, a ton of experience. Look, at the end of the day, whether you want to invest in a good REIT, whether you want to invest in a good multifamily project, or maybe you want to go ahead and flip a house, or maybe you want to invest in a crowdfunding online platform, there are a ton of ways to invest into real estate in 2020. And that, in all honesty, is not even 1/10 of the different ways that I could sit and talk to you about here today, okay? So if you like the real estate stuff, you want to invest into real estate, you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to evolve, maybe you want to become a real estate agent, maybe you want to go ahead and get into wholesaling real estate where you're flipping the contract, definitely drop into the comment section below letting me know what you would like to do in the world of real estate. I would love to make a video on it for you. If I haven't already, I'll definitely make more. And if you haven't already, go ahead and just do me a huge favor, okay? Smash that like button. It really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm. I look forward to making a lot more videos just like this one, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.